AOC.
Yeah, but first, I think we should have a moratorium on white dorks on Zoom calls.
Okay.
You know, we have like,
Done.
we have Fastest and we have Fan Mail, and I just can't listen to those Nate Silvers and these Saliza people just bites into this glorious show. AOC. What? She's kind of fun in a silly but earnest, wrong but adorable way. She's like your daughter when she comes back from her first year at Brown, full of half-baked, half-opinion.
Once again, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez entered the spotlight with determination, ready to address pressing issues. Her presence was met by Greg Gutfeld's characteristic blend of humor and straightforward commentary, setting the stage for a lively exchange of ideas.
Need of some gentle, patient deprogramming. But people have to realize new faces doesn't mean new ideas. Drives me crazy. AOC has never introduced a fresh idea or issue in her life. The reason why she gets along with Bernie is because she's like an 80-year-old leftist in a used bookstore. I mean, she may look fresh, but she's as stale as an abandoned futon on the street. It's like, I listen to her, I go, I heard that at Berkeley in 1983.
The scene unfolded with AOC delivering a focused and passionate argument. She spoke about systemic reform and economic fairness, presenting her case with conviction. Greg Gutfeld, in turn, responded with a mix of humor and practicality, highlighting the challenges of turning bold visions into actionable policies. His perspective emphasized the complexities that come with large-scale changes.
Yes, I pay people to wear handcuffs. But she did this because she knew the media would obey. Let's watch the tape. You know, she'd be a great mime, like the Latina version of Marcel Marceau. In fact, here she is later in her jail cell. Of course, AOC was mocked on social media for imitating being handcuffed, which is a change from her usually being mocked for imitating a congresswoman.
AOC painted a picture of an economy driven by collaboration and inclusivity, sharing her vision with enthusiasm. Gutfeld's measured responses provided a counterbalance, interjecting with observations that underscored the practical hurdles of implementing ambitious reforms. Their discussion offered a dynamic blend of idealism and realism, sparking thoughtful dialogue.
She is taking a break from doing nothing to get into a beef with the Twitter chief. On Tuesday, she tweeted, LMAO at a billionaire earnestly trying to sell people on the idea that free speech is actually an $8 a month subscription plan. That's a reference to Musk's plan to charge people $8 a month for verified blue checkmark status. But he hit back tweeting, your feedback is appreciated, now pay $8.
AOC outlined her vision for a cleaner, more sustainable future, proposing ambitious changes to industries and environmental policies. Gutfeld countered with questions about feasibility, stressing the importance of a grounded approach. The contrast between her optimism and his pragmatic concerns added depth to the conversation, reflecting the tension between aspirations and practicalities.
To be fair, she'd love to spend the $8, but she already bought a Tesla. He also tweeted a photo of some ugly AOC merch she's trying to hawk for $58. Overpriced merch, AOC. Seems pretty capitalistic of you, which according to you makes you evil. And according to anyone paying attention, also makes you full.
The conversation culminated with AOC defending her economic proposals, emphasizing the need to address systemic inequality and create opportunities. Gutfeld redirected the discussion to issues like inflation and affordability, advocating for a practical lens in pursuing reforms. Their interaction captured the ongoing debates shaping policy discussions today, offering a balanced perspective on ambition versus execution.
Why they don't have any ideas is they operate on half opinions. Like, what if we get rid of cash bail? Oh, let's do it. What happens? You have repeat criminals wreaking havoc. What if we have sanctuary cities? Hey, let's do it. What happens? You have rapists and killers, finding sanctuary, safe haven. What if we give trans rights that we don't have? Well, you just ruin women's sports, you ruin safe spaces, you make kids' lives hell, but they never think about what their ideas incentivize. That would be nice. So where are their ideas gonna come from?
AOC's economic proposals often resembled brainstorming sessions fueled by idealism. Ideas like expanding public benefits and simplifying systems sounded appealing but raised questions about feasibility. Greg Gutfeld, with his calm demeanor, offered a quiet counterpoint, highlighting practical challenges without needing many words. As the discussion shifted to climate issues, AOC emphasized urgency and painted a vivid picture of the stakes. Her passion for the cause was evident, though her approach sometimes overshadowed the need for balanced dialogue.
How she explains it, they're not meant for you, right? But then you have to ask, okay, then what is this debt forgiveness? Who is it meant for? And when you look at the data, it's upper, white, middle-class, liberal women. This ain't welfare, right? These are well-to-do people. It's a bribe for Democrats on the backs of plumbers, truckers, and everyone else who actually does a real job, unlike me. AOC is the symbol of the entitled sponge. She complains about student loans, but she owns...
Gutfeld responded with his signature dry humor, noting the gap between ambitious goals and practical execution. He highlighted AOC's reluctance to embrace solutions like nuclear energy, despite their potential viability. Her calls for economic restructuring to address inequality were bold, but left important details unaddressed. Gutfeld's critiques grounded the conversation, contrasting AOC's energy with a pragmatic focus on the complexities involved.
And worse, she owns a French bulldog. Thanks to Cat Temp, I know everything about French bulldogs. And one thing I know, they are so expensive. They're more expensive than any college tuition. That you got to take care of them. They're adorable dogs. But she owns a Tesla and she owns a French bulldog, and she wants you or your dad, the electrician, to forgive her student loan. That's BS. Turn in the Tesla, sell the dog. I'll buy.
With a measured tone, Gutfeld underscored the need for reform to be rooted in actionable strategies rather than abstract ideals. He pointed out the contradiction of criticizing capitalism while benefiting from its infrastructure, a recurring theme in their exchanges. His commentary reminded viewers that meaningful change requires sustainable and logical solutions, not just aspirational rhetoric.
AOC, among others, were arrested last night. She truly is an American hero. It was brutal, taken out in cuffs. Well, technically, her shirt had cuffs. Maybe French cuffs, as she did surrender without fighting. But if her pants had cuffs, she would have pretended to be in leg irons too. But real handcuffs, not so much. But that didn't stop her from pretending, and I hate it when people do this to me. When I ask people to put on handcuffs and they say, I'll just pretend I have them on, I'd be like, sure, and I'll pretend to pay you.
AOC's advocacy for reform often involved calls for stricter regulations and measures, such as appliance restrictions or limits on speech framed as combating misinformation. Gutfeld countered by emphasizing the value of open dialogue and evidence-based policymaking. He critiqued her reliance on emotional appeals and social media campaigns, arguing for a more structured approach to meaningful change. Their exchanges highlighted the broader tension between aspiration and practicality in modern debates.
Water, but what do you make of this?
I don't know. I mean, it's always fun to see, a leftist yell at a leftist. But there is kind of an interesting flip going on here where hardcore leftists are in bed with the hawks. A lot of them are. And then you're seeing the right trying to slow the roll of nuclear war. Some analysts are putting at the odds of a nuclear event at 20.
When challenged, AOC frequently leaned on her passion to defend her positions, occasionally dismissing opposing views as misunderstandings or bias. Gutfeld's strategy was to let her arguments stand, allowing inconsistencies to emerge naturally. Rather than engaging in heated confrontation, he offered thoughtful critiques that encouraged critical engagement from the audience. Their contrasting approaches showcased the diversity of perspectives in public discourse, with AOC championing bold ambitions and Gutfeld advocating for pragmatic progress.
Yeah, Bernie and AOC, do you think they're banging the wrong drum here? No, the message. For example, I've never actually said the word oligarchy out loud until today. Oligarchy. What's next? Plutocracies? Shall we target plutocracies on behalf of the proletariat? I mean, that might make the purple man buns in the quad swoon, but it ain't gonna fly in the living room, kiddos. When they talk about fighting, They're saying they need a Trump. That's what they're saying. But I'm gonna define what an oligarchy is and where you can find one. It means government by.
AOC's memorable moments often blend emotional appeals with bold statements, such as her symbolic gestures like the tax the rich dress or her active presence on social media. These actions spark debates about whether they prioritize style over substance. Meanwhile, Greg Gutfeld approaches these scenarios with grounded observations, cutting through the theatrics with clarity and composure. His methodical critiques contrast with her energetic narratives, offering a calm, reality-based perspective that avoids exaggeration and focuses on practicality.
What do you make of AOC?
That's the best.
Yeah.
I do. The fact, I don't think that anybody can even, I think I don't even realize how funny it is, because it's that funny that she just quietly removed the pronouns from the bio. I think that maybe these people are starting to realize that there's this huge difference between trans people and then trans activists. Obviously, it's for political reasons. It was this huge loss, but at least she seems to be acknowledging, like, oh, okay, who is this for?
Yeah.
AOC frequently frames her arguments with passion, presenting policy changes and social justice initiatives as straightforward solutions. Gutfeld, however, counters with a subtle smile and thoughtful critique, identifying where enthusiasm clashes with feasibility. Whether addressing sweeping reforms or complex global challenges, Gutfeld's response is consistent, using wit and logic to dissect her arguments. Their dynamic highlights a clash of methodologies, her bold, ambitious statements versus his measured, analytical perspective.
Oligarchy can exist is if it's non-transparent. But what's the most transparent government in history? The one that shows you where your money's being spent? The one that releases files on assassinations? The one that answers every single question you ask them? The one that tweets or posts every single action and tells you ahead of time what they're going to do? If Trump, the administration, is an oligarchy, it's the worst one.
As AOC continues to shape her political identity through public appearances and social media, Gutfeld remains an observant commentator, exposing gaps in her proposals. While her big ideas and heartfelt messaging inspire supporters, Gutfeld's critiques emphasize the need for practical, coherent strategies. Together, their exchanges underscore the ongoing debate between aspirational leadership and actionable governance, leaving audiences to weigh the merits of each approach.
I think AOC sucks. I think progressive ideas are horrible. It's diet communism. It's dangerous for the country. And I don't worry if she gets in the Senate because she's so ineffective as a congresswoman. I don't think that she's going to do anything.
As AOC continues to shape her political identity through public appearances and social media, Gutfeld remains an observant commentator, exposing gaps in her proposals. While her big ideas and heartfelt messaging inspire supporters, Gutfeld's critiques emphasize the need for practical, coherent strategies. Together, their exchanges underscore the ongoing debate between aspirational leadership and actionable governance, leaving audiences to weigh the merits of each approach.